Burn Babble, our friend Mike Whistler from the Easy Peasy podcast. We were going to do a little thing together when we met a couple weeks ago at Silverberg, but then I ended up re-meeting him today in Indiana. We're out here in the cornfields of Indiana.
Full Hoosier mode.
Full Hoosier mode. There
Hoosiers and truthers.
Hey, all I know how to do is beer and hang out in cornfields.
And,
it's good skills to have. Actually, this guy is full of skills, and I always talk about prepping in our show, and he has a show that's pretty much about prep.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, prepping is not just dehydrated food and things like that. Prepping is getting the garden going, getting life on track,
building a business, all that. Yeah.
Tell us about it. Tell us about
it.
Right.
Yeah, so Easy Peasy Garden Solutions is what I do for money. I build backyard raised bed veggie gardens, and I maintain them through like a membership subscription. Call it the Easy Peasy Garden Club, so it's nice and insulated legally if you do a members only business. That's a little tidbit for you. You're a lot safer from lawsuit by getting that client member agreement, written down, signatures, all that. But yeah, I try to help people grow fucking vegetables, and some of them take it to the next level. I call them like the primo clients. They graduate up to chicken coops and, fruit trees, berry bushes, kind of like full-blown
rabbits.
Yeah, some of them. But like full-blown suburban homesteading is what I'm trying to promote. And I talk about like the simple raised bed is kind of like the gateway drug. You take that first toke, you look how it tastes, more. So then I started about a year ago. I just did a big 2-part episode at Silverberg where I met Andy. Did a 2-part episode at the Self-Reliance Fest. A whole bunch of really switched on permaculture people. Yeah, so I did.
And why easy?
Just one night I was like having insomnia, and I had this business idea, wasn't sure what I wanted to call it, and it was a light bulb moment. Peasy just popped in my head, and I saw the Peapod logo. Just made sense. Like I'm bad with puns, right? So easy, growing your pea doesn't have to be hard. Do you get it?
I like it.
Yeah.
That's the way to rock and roll.
Yeah, man. I was like, fun. You gotta be pretty clever to figure it out.
So let's talk about bikes for a few seconds here. Just because me and Andy, we both are experienced cyclists, and I'm curious if I can bring Andy over to my side on this one. But Mr. Brandon fell off his bike the other day. What are your thoughts?
Yep. He did. Well, I love bikes, and it's pretty cool that bikes are trying to help us out.
Let's see. I can't judge too much because I've wiped out plenty, but it was just kind of funny to watch because it was all in like it wasn't in slow motion, but it felt like it was in slow motion.
Yeah, and it was. You knew what was going to happen because you probably had the video title, but But one of the things is that somebody's a prankster. They gave him a pretty nice bike with toe clips on it, and toe clips are hard even for me. I like clipping shoes, but I don't like toe clips. I always end up riding them with the pedal side up and scraping the ground and stuff like that. But anybody can mess up on toe.
And that was kind of my point. I don't think this was a bad dementia moment. My main question is, why doesn't he have clip-ins?
Right. So somebody pranked and they were like, here, we'll give him this bike. Because it's probably not first.
I've done it at least 100.
Said he had a helmet.
Yeah, no, he did have a helmet on. That was good. At
no,
least
it wasn't
100.
good. I wish he cracked his skull.
No, but we don't need. But the key, I was at a Legion's bar last night with some guys, and they were just like, "Thank God that he had a helmet on because we don't need Kamala Harris. It's the last person we need to run the country right now."
I think that they think that too. So
They gave
I
him
think
the
that
helmet
they're right
just
there
in
with
case,
us. They're
sir.
like, yeah, what are we gonna do if this one makes it? And
Yeah.
and yeah, it's gonna be nice. So yeah, I love bikes. That's
Love them more today than I did yesterday. Yeah.
So Andy, you want to talk about dead cows or 2A first or second? I
yeah.
guess.
So over in Kansas, there was about 3,000 cows that the TikTok video that went around said that they mysteriously dropped dead, but digging in and checking out the news on that, apparently these cows were culled, and they were culled for $2,300 a head. The FDA paid the rancher because they couldn't get them to the slaughterhouses in time or in an allotted amount of time. And that's what I got from digging through Twitter and was alerted to this through Mastodon. They're like, hey, and that's how Twitter and Mastodon work together.
Well, that's interesting. Nobody's reported that. I mean, so this was not a mass die-off. This was a mass killing.
Right. And well, here's the thing though, that they're, they're destroying food now and using our tax dollars to pay somebody to do it. So,
well, I've said already in the last few days or whatever, but if something smells fishy, it's probably fucking all the fish,
Yeah.
It's
And
not like how do cows have an expiration date? It's not like it's just meat.
I don't know their logic. This is bean counters and procedures and all the other things that government makes things happen. Slaughterhouses are controlled by the corporations that have the most cattle at this point. And so whenever somebody's not with these groups, hey, how are you?
Fine.
Oh, we're just recording a podcast.
Looking for a quiet stretch of road where you wouldn't bother nobody.
Cool.
Hey, we're in good company in this part of the country here.
Yep.
We had a neighbor come out and scope out what we're doing here, and well, we're recording a podcast. I was like, what's the show about? I just freedom, right? Like right on, man. I was there at the trucker convoy when it passed Indy. We were hanging our flag and everything. So standing in this cornfield, like safer here than in the city. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah, safer than in the trucks.
I would feel a little funny eating at that bar, having these conversations where people hear it.
Yeah.
Got to watch out. Like, you don't know who's listening.
Yeah, we're broadcasting. Anybody who wants to see it in the world,
True.
Anybody that's got the time wants to spend with us.
But yeah.
And thank you if you have the time to spend with us. And we hope that you enjoy what we're doing. I see that we're getting some more views, but I'm not getting much feedback. If you want to give us some feedback, I'd love to hear what you think.
100%.
I'm glad to know. I'm glad to know about the cows, because I thought it was somebody poisoning the watering hole or something like that. Something real nefarious. Actually, it makes a whole lot more sense that it was just bureaucratic bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, it could be more than anything.
The encounter.
But also, the thing about this rancher's Twitter handle is that it had his name, which is funny because it's Tom McDonald. So it's Thomas McDonald, who is a really great truth rapper, and you have that as kind of a red flag. And then the fact that there's about 8 or 9 numbers after his name. It's not quite it's almost a phone number, but it's not. I think maybe I don't know. But so there's sussy stuff about that, but I believe that that's what happened. A lot of the other stuff the guy said goes back into Twitter, and you can check that out and find out that that's true and like that. So, but they're not telling us. They want to tell us that it's climate, and it's definitely not climate. If people aren't dying and other animals aren't dying, there's only cows dying. And all of them being dead is one thing. If like 100 of them died or something like that, then you could maybe say that it was a heat wave or something like that.
Why would they lie first? Like say it was the heat? That's my question.
That ties completely into the agenda. One of the main psyops going on that has been going on for decades now. In fact, over a century, is the environmental movement. They've been saying that the Earth is overpopulated since the 1800s, and that's just part of that agenda. And I always say that the green movement is really not about making the world more green. It's making people more dead. Go.
Yeah, no. I was typing in the next thing, but no, that's not even working. So I'll not do that. My thing with the whole thing is, whenever you look at it, the government creates the problems because of, I like to say, they think their plans will work, but they end up not working. It looks good on paper. Like I every now and again I'll look at Pawn Stars, and they'll be selling guns, buying a gun or something like that, and they were talking about how the government approved a gun that was sold to them. It was a breech loading gun that required black, it was black powder, and the design seemed great on paper. It would shoot 10 times faster than any other guns, but you had to essentially unhinge it, stick your bullet in, and then you would hook it back up. And so the government was like, oh yeah, we'll pay for that. That looks great on paper. The gun was completely impractical because after like 5 shots, in real life, the gunpowder would fill up on the end and it wouldn't be able to shut properly, and then it would explode in your face.
Lovely.
And that's essentially what's happening. That's a picture of what's happening, is that they look at it on paper, they say, this sounds like a great idea, and then they say, well, we have to figure out how to solve the problem or something, and just kill all the cows. It doesn't make any logical sense. They drew it out on paper, their plan didn't work out, and they're just like, kill the cows, why not? It's like, the cows don't have an expiration date. They can just keep eating grass, and then we can kill them in like 3 days.
I think there's a certain amount of time where it's more optional to take the market, and I have no idea all the ins and outs of that. I'm not a fan, but that's what I think happened. That's based off of those sort of accounts.
Well, I think the point might be like it's hard to believe that like there isn't a grand conspiracy, and it's not like it's just error incompetence. 99 out of 100 times, it's not malfeasance. It's fucking a lack of competency, and an overconfidence, So
I think the evils want us to starve, but they manipulate the incompetents and the stupids in order to make sure that happens. Sure. That's how I see the whole way the COVID regime went through was whenever people went to the hospital because they were scared because the test tested positive or something like that, and then they hook them up to the remdesivir, and then they don't last 2 or 3 days, and then that gets to pump up the stats, and then they say, oh wow, like a whole bunch of people died from this, and they were dying from the remdesivir.
Yeah,
but they blame the virus to scare people and can't get more of that agenda.
On that note, this is not medical advice. This is not it's not medical
Financial
advice or financial advice.
Or
Just
legal.
guys having a conversation or legal advice.
Yeah. We are not life coaches. We're just
a couple guys in a corner.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. So the reason I'm doing this a little differently is because you guys have been breaking up a little bit. I find that if I put myself on mute, the stream seems to be going a little bit better. So I
Okay.
just kind of that's why I'm being a little bit more quiet, and you guys also have a good dynamic going. So I'm just muting myself at certain points just to keep it going. But yeah, the dead cows thing is like, seriously, this makes no
Yeah.
sense. And
Did you
beef
check out
prices going
that
up.
story from? Did you look at 6 coverage on that? I know you all well.
I did not see anything about Styx talking about the dead cows. I've heard him talk
Okay,
about
I got
other.
a alert on Rumble, but I didn't watch it of the story.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But let's go to the Second Amendment. I know you were wanting to talk about 2A on some type of level, and I'm really curious
Okay,
as
well,
to what your
in
discussion is.
between our last show and this one was where the rhinos all signed on to an agreement basically to infringe on rights that they have no right to infringe on. And the other thing is we're about 2 days out from the memorial, which is a year anniversary of where Arvada police killed Johnny Hurley, who was pretty much one of us. You know, he was a 2A guy. He was involved with We Are Change Colorado, which is Luke's group, Luke Brodowski.
Mhm.
And so he's a hero. He was in Arvada, and some shooter comes out and shoots a cop with a 12 gauge. Johnny takes down the shooter, and he's meddling with the shooter's weapon, basically taking the magazine out and clearing the chamber. The cop shoots back. Cops have apologized. It seems like they, they're very apologetic on it, but just want to remember this hero and tell you what a good guy with a gun could do. The bad guy with the gun in this situation, the guy that Johnny took down, was out there for the sole purpose of taking down cops, and then the cops ended up taking down Johnny. So
Really? So they
yeah. There's a big memorial to him on Tuesday in Colorado.
I remember watching that video, and he did everything correct.
He did.
He did everything correct. He took cover. He popped his rounds off, put the man down, and then, like you said, went and tried to clear the weapon from the perpetrator. And yeah, before you knew it, he was dead too, for no goddamn reason, just because they're trigger happy and they don't assess what's actually going on. They shoot first and ask questions later. Yeah, that story. If you've not heard of John Hurley, watch the videos and all that.
Also, we're finding out recently too that the police with their body cam footage in Uvalde, they don't want to.
Oh, we're good. Yep, thank you.
They don't want to release their body cam footage because it might have something embarrassing in it. A lot of people are speculating that the police that handled that situation have ended up taking out targets that weren't the bad guy in that situation, and that's why they don't want it released. So they're using their entire government power to keep that knowledge from the public. So because it really changes the narrative when you think about it.
It's the prime example.
That's wild. I didn't even hear that. Of course,
As if it wasn't bad enough that they let it happen for an hour before going in there. If it wasn't bad enough for that they may have actually been taken out some of the kids themselves. So we can't trust government, and they're telling us that they're the ones that should be armed and we should, and they're the ones doing a lot of so.
It's still.
I'll say real quick. Gotta say, I just bought my first AR last night. 2 nights ago. So if you don't have a rifle yet, get yourself a fucking rifle. I think I'm gonna go to the store today, get a couple mags and some boxes before these rules change.
Make sure to get a thing.
Yeah.
Very.
Definitely agree with that one. Oh, that's wild, though. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. He was actually saving the police, and then the police shot him.
Hero. Yeah.
Yep. True martyr.
Heard that. So I'm curious on your thoughts on this crypto upswing. Elon Musk did text out last night something about Dogecoin, like he still thinks Dogecoin is going to the moon, something along that lines. Is that why the crypto board is up overall, or are there other factors that are involved?
I don't think the crypto market follows Elon as much as a lot of people think it does, but I also want to say that all these NFTs and shitcoins are probably one of the reasons the whole thing is suffering. Just stick to Bitcoin, y'all. Just do it.
It's wise financial advice that we're not giving. We're just talking.
Yeah, Bitcoin's suffering right now too, but it's the one that I think is going to win out overall. You'll have the variety, all this other stuff, but if you want to be a happier person, just live with that.
I mean, I'm inclined to say that it's just like I bought a few $100s worth last week or two because it was low. So maybe it's just that, you know, Elon might have something a little bit to do with it, but like the price dipped, people bought, price goes back up, you know, that's the cycle, right?
Definitely. So
it's an opportunity if you believe that it will go back up. So
yeah.
You know, it's a good moment for people that never got in.
Oh, and it's like people are acting like it's crap. Look at the full graph. You know, it's higher than it was a year ago.
No, not a year.
No,
it's about maybe a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's profoundly higher than 3 years ago, I believe.
Right. I don't know. You gotta have a little faith with it, I guess.
Before Congress started printing money like it was nobody's business.
Yeah, and so it's and that's the thing is it's at what point are we going to see a complete economic collapse? I'm really curious what happens tomorrow with this market, because if crypto's going up today, for the most part for the last year, the crypto market is mirroring the stock market. And are we, you know, I'm curious if we're actually going to see a break, or if this is an indication that there's actually some news that is going to affect the stock market tomorrow. Because, of course, crypto's open 24/7, the stock market's not. So I'm really interested if the stock market is going to jump tomorrow because of some news that's going along. And crypto is just an early indicator that there's going to be a bounce, which could be really bad. They pushed another bill through Congress that prints tons of money. Maybe you could go as far as like somehow Biden decided to get rid of the Fed, which would be good in one way, and just be like, yeah, take interest rates down to 0.5%. Just do it. We're going to hear from Janet Yellen tomorrow. You know, I don't know. Because for the most part, crypto has been following the stock market. So is this an indicator, or is crypto actually splitting from the stock market now? And people are just starting to say this is the safest area for us to put our money. But like I said, this is
same people that are in the stock market manipulating money, the people that have all the money in the crypto world. We call them whales, but they're whales in the stock market, they're whales in crypto, they're whales in everything, and everything sort of follows what they do. And so I wonder what they're up to and how they have this set up and planned and everything like that. And that's the one thing that you can't make the money, that you're immune to the people that have too much of it. So that.
Now, I hear you there, but in light of economic news, I'm more interested to hear from the other gentleman. Introduce yourself again, just so that people have a reference to where to find you. So you're doing sustainable, like what is it exactly that you're doing? Because I find it very interesting.
Basically, backyard vegetables, as few words as possible. So if you want to hear more from me, easy podcast, and that's one word, easy peasy, like peas, okay, PEASY. And what I promote is sort of self-reliance, self-sufficiency. You know, a big theme lately has just been that, like, you know, the guns are only going to get us so far. Like, we need gardens and guns. Like, just that's the long and short of it. And if we can start doing more agorism, and we can start like relocalizing our food systems and doing direct business with the producers, becoming producers to some extent, but really, like, I know that it's not practical to preach like grow all your own food, because good fucking luck. You know, it's not easy. And unless that's all you're doing.
It's also not easy to just store up everything you'll need for a certain amount of time. You're going to need other people. And agorism is about building relationships.
It's about commerce. We need local commerce. We need to, like I said, bolster the food system locally and our local sort of economic endeavors. And I think using alternative currencies is a huge way to do that. You know, they're kind of like a gimmick, but somebody gave me a gold back. Was that you? Okay, somebody at Childeberg gave me this thing called a goldback, and it's a gold like foil with like a really beautiful design. It's a bill. It says 1. They've got 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s. And in reality, the 1 is worth in its weight in gold, it's worth about $4. Now the problem with their system is that they're charging a premium. You can't get it at the conversion rate. You pay a premium to get these gold backs, but I just think it's a cool idea because it's something physical and tangible that I could walk up to the farmer that we're standing right next to his fucking field right now and say, hey man, I'm not doing business in dollars no more, but here's what I got. You know, are you interested? It's real gold, you know, the 50 is like bigger, so it is real value money. Again, I think it's a little bit gimmicky, but it's cool. And they've got them printed with like 4 circulation in Utah, New Hampshire, I want to say Tennessee, and maybe like Texas. They've got like 4 denominations for these states. And I think it is just more of a
Nevada's one of them.
Nevada, you're right.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost more of something that we can use as a tool of evangelism. You know, even if the goldback itself is not the final solution, we can change the way people think a little bit. Walking around with a pocket full of silver coins, you know, that stuff has real fucking value. It's harder to convince someone like the farmers in this area right now to accept something like Bitcoin than it would be, you know, silver dollars, right? So yeah. I think we need both.
And eventually, check this out. It's a credit card shaped silver coin.
Yeah.
And it fits right in my wallet. So
if I had my other truck, I'd show you that gold back right now. But
that anyways. Is so awesome. And so, for me, one thing I would say on that is I find it really interesting that we have so much distrust in the dollar and other currencies around the world that we're actually trying to figure out how to stabilize it. We're seeing how unstable the government's currencies are, and we're actually trying to get back. We're trying so many different ways, cryptocurrency, silver like that, the gold back that you're talking about. We're trying to find all these different ways, and to me it just shows how little faith people have in the current infrastructure of the government and the government currencies. There's a lot of things that are needing to be worked out, and just like the dot-com bubble, whenever during the 90s, you know, everybody was overpricing certain types of goods whenever it came to online markets. Or like, oh, this thing's guaranteed to be worth $1 billion website in 10 years, and then 70% of the websites sold off. Same thing with crypto. You're going to see a mass sell-off. The ones that are not of value are going to fall away, but I think there's going to be 5 to 10 that actually hold their infrastructure and actually become extremely valuable. My guess would be, you know, Bitcoin, maybe Cardano, Ethereum, stuff like that is probably going to hold its value long term. But we're just seeing a transition because we're really tired of this inflation, and that's what's driving this interest, and not just interest, but desire and need for actual stable currency. So I think we're just in a flux phase, and we're going to see an experimentation for another 6 months to a year, and then we'll probably start seeing something stabilize soon after that.
So that's the advantage coming from the libertarian Austrian economics background is, and why so many of the people that I listen to really understand this situation is we've been analyzing money and finding ways around these situations. And the Austrians have the answer. Go to the Mises Institute, check out what they have to offer. There's so much information there as far as this goes.
100% agree. And shout out to Tom Woods. You guys need to go listen to Tom Woods. Just saying.
One of the more measured people. And I appreciate that. You know, one thing I'll add before maybe we move on or whatever, even though it's not the most efficient or practical, usually, I think the barter is going to become pretty damn important. You know, we need money to solve the problem of lack of efficiency with the barter system, right? But the barter system still has value, even if it's not perfect. And like, just for me, like, I've made this argument recently that if things got really rough, right? If times got really hard, I know for a fact that my clients are going to want me more than ever. And maybe they can't afford to necessarily pay me in the denominations that I'm looking for. You know, maybe they pay me in goods, right?
Pay me in ammo.
Or ammo, or you know, I've got a client that gives me 2 dozen eggs a week, you know, and that's just on top of what they pay me because they've got more than they need. But like, just trading a little bit of work for something you need, or a little bit of this for that. There was tons of that going on at Childerberg. It was so cool. I traded freaking mushrooms for vegetable starts, you know, a couple tomato plants for a freaking little, you know, a little trip. It was like that's something that I think people will do out of necessity as times get tough. They'll come up with creative solutions as to how to keep the commerce moving. But it's going to be a rough transition. That's what I kind of would predict, but I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, you know.
I like it. That's amazing. And the nice thing about whenever you get into actually bartering and trading is that you actually build connections, like real connections with the people you're dealing with. You're building trust.
So you build trust, you build a relationship. I was gonna get to it and I forgot, but I believe that if I ask my clients, I've got about 20 some clients that I maintain their garden through the month. I could probably make it part of the deal that, hey, I really want to sit and have a meal with you while I'm there, right? That's an opportunity for us to talk about the garden, to make future plans, and it's food in my fucking stomach that I don't have to pay for. You know, I could do that 20 out of 30 nights in a given month if I decided that was worthwhile. And you know, if it becomes difficult to afford food, I'd rather trade my time and get food out of it.
That's an amazing idea. I think that's really cool.
Hey, check this out.
Yeah, this is real. This is where it happens.
So these people, right? These farmers down here, even though they're stuck in the system, these guys understand self-sufficiency in a way that most of us don't. They maintain their own equipment, you know, like they owe a lot of money to these seed companies. It's really a tragedy the way the whole thing works. But these are the guys you want to be friends with, you know, because they're the ones that are going to be able to handle their shit when the whole city, you know, we're about half an hour out of Indianapolis right now. That city could be ablaze, and these guys down here are going to be just fine, you know. And those are the people I was saying to Andy, like I was down camping with a friend of mine. He's what I call a genuine hill person. You know, he's a fucking hillbilly, hill folk, and those are the toughest sons of bitches around. If you have a friend that's a hill folk, you best start hanging out with them and learn everything they can teach you. Because I think in the world we're heading toward, if you're not already sitting on a pile of Bitcoin, the next best thing you could have is like practice hands-on skills. You know,
the skills are more than money in that situation.
Totally.
Because if you have the skills, you're gonna get taken care of. You're gonna get protected and defended. So,
I mean, we might be using meat as currency, right? The fact that I have the equipment and the know-how to go shoot a deer and process it myself, that's worth more than gold. You know what I mean? In the real world, you know, gold is nice, gold is shiny, it's pretty, people like it, but they really need fucking meat. You know.
Exactly, and that's and that raises an idea a little bit. One, I guess this might be the kind of last idea to build off of, is learning how to build talent stacks for yourself. Learning what things you're good at and what things you can learn that complement the talents that you're currently trying to build. You know, if you're good at, you know, farming, well, maybe you need to be good at, you know, building something to keep the foxes out, you know, or keep the chickens out so that, you know, your farm doesn't get wrecked. But building those talent stacks is really important. Whenever you have to continually be learning these different skills that help build your resume in a sense.
For sure. One thing before we go, I wanted to mention really quick that Alex Stein is the man, and he got up to Dan Crenshaw yesterday and called him Eye Patch McCain several times, and asked him why he's such good friends with Klaus Schwab. It was beautiful. So, prime time, Alex 999.
Well, I actually, I was at a Legion's bar last night. Some of my military buddies invited me out there. And at some point, I met some guys and we were in a conversation. They're just like, oh, yeah, Dan Crenshaw, that guy's really great. And all I had to say to them was, we voted for red flag laws. Drop of a hat.
Yeah.
They were like, F him. F that guy.
Fuck that guy. Yeah. No, so I'll share one more final thought if I could.
For sure, go for it.
I'm a huge proponent of what's called the permaculture design system, okay? And if you've never heard of it, look it up. But what we need to develop is systems level thinking, okay? What you were talking about earlier about the farmer also has to be a carpenter, also has to be a, these guys are what I call polymaths. This is what I go by Mike the Polymath on my podcast. The idea of being a polymath is to have diverse knowledge and skills in order to solve complex problems, okay? Like a polyglot can speak 5 or more languages. A polymath has many disciplines and draws on every single one of them to solve any given problem. And I believe every farmer that has ever existed is a polymath, and maybe you're a polymath and you just don't know it. But it's like we have to start using this high level of reasoning that I call systems level thinking, permaculture design, to create a more permanent culture, right? We need more stable currencies. We need our own security in terms of our own guns. We also need to be able to basically think through problems for ourselves. I think that if we're going to truly try to live in a stateless world, we all need to become polymaths and permaculturists, in one way or another. So there you go. That's all I got.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Any last words, Andy?
You got it.
Well, this has been Burn, Babylon, Burn. Let's change the world.
Do it.
Fuck.